Daf Hofstedter Amud Beis will begin Daf Hofstedter Amud Aleph right at the bottom. We learned previously that Rav Acher Bar Yaakov that he explained the shita of Rav Yehuda as follows. That even though Rav Yehuda learned that we have a 3 psukim, and therefore we learned that chometz is also b'hana before Pesach, during Pesach, and after Pesach. But he says that there's a hekesh to the Bal Yeroah and Bal Yamotze and the Isser of eating and getting hana from chometz. So just like Bal Yeroah, Bal Yamotze, it's l'cho, it only applies to your chometz, but there's an exclusion from chometz of hektish and chometz of a nachri, that there's no Bal Yeroah, Bal Yamotze. So too, the Isser of achila and hana only applies to your chometz shalcha, that it's only yours, just like it's shalchoyet haroya bal roya acherem shel hektish. The isser of achila and hana is only shalcho, but there's no isser achila and hana of a nochri and hektish. Therefore, he said our Mishnah can be reconciled with the shita of Rav Yehuda. But the Gemara said that v'hader bei Rav Acher Bar Yaakov that Rav Yaakov Bar Yaakov was chayzer, that he retracted from that. How do we see that? So in the middle of this discussion and proving that he was chayzer, because we brought a brisa that says ha'oichal chometz shel hektish b'moed mo, that if a person eats chometz of hektish on Pesach, he's moel, he's over me'il v'yeshayimrim loy moel, and some say that he's not moel. Now we had different tanoim, different explanations rather. Different Amorim explaining this machloikas tanaim. So we're holding in the middle. We had the different explanations of how to understand this machloikas, that if a person eats that he hektish chometz of hektish b'moed, whether he's moel or not moel. So Zok the Gemara Rav Acher Bar Rava Tanala, he explained. We previously brought the sheet of Rav Yosef that explained it. Now he had a different version of Rav Yosef's explanation. He learned Lahash Ma'is Mishmid Rav Yosef B'Halishna. He explained it in the following way: the Kuli Alma in Poidem Esakachim Lachil Maklov, that everyone holds you cannot be Poidem Kachim, you cannot redeem the Kachim in order to feed it to dogs. It has to be redeemed for the consumption of a Yid. What's the machlokes over here? Whether a davar agarm l'moman is k'momen, that meaning that they both agree to Rav Shimon that chometz is also b'hana on Pesach, but that chometz is muter b'hana after Pesach. So right now this has no value. So if something has no value, there's no milah. But it will have value after Pesach, because after Pesach, according to Shimon, it's mutbana. So the machlokes is whether davar hagarim l'moman is kemomen, something which has no value now, but it can lead to a monetary value. That's the machlokes. Ma damar mal, the one that says you're moil, kasav davar hagarim l'moman kemomen dam. He holds davar hagarim l'moman is kemomen, and therefore, even though it has no value now, but it would lead to money, it has value. And therefore, there's milah. He holds it doesn't have a monetary value. It's not treated like a monetary value, and therefore there's no milah. Now the Gemara is going to come to Rav Acher Bar Yaakov and see how we prove that he retracted his opinion, his position on Rav Yehuda. Rav Acher Bar Yaakov, he explains it as follows: they both agree that if it will lead to a monetary value, it's considered like money. But here the machlokes is whether you hold like Rav Yehuda or like Rav Shimon. Do you hold like Rav Shimon, then it's muter b'hana after Pesach, so it's a davar garam l'momen, it will lead to a monetary value, it's considered like momen, therefore moel. But the one who says loy moel, he holds like Rav Yehuda, that holds that chometz lachar Pesach, that it's also b'hana, and therefore it doesn't even lead to money. Man damer loy moel k'Rav Yehuda, because even after Pesach it's also b'hana, so it doesn't even lead to money, so there's no meal. Uman damer moel k'Rav Shimon, and the one who says moel k'Rav Shimon, that it's also now, but it's mutter after Pesach, and therefore it leads to money. Now, here's the proof. He's the one that said that the Rabbi Yehuda Yalasor Da'achila Misor the Riyah that we learn out, that's Sor of Riyah. And therefore, just like Sor the Riyah Shel Cha'it Haroy Avalat Haroy Shel Cherem V'Shel Hektish, there's no Bayir on Hektish, so too by Achilim. So therefore, here we're dealing with Hektish. So according to what Rav Acha bar Yaakov previously said, even according to Rabbi Yehuda, there will be no Isser Hana after Pesach because we're dealing with Hektish over here. So how does this explain why the Mandamer says more? Bar Yaakov Me'ahi. So you see, you track to that, and you see we don't learn out Sor D'Achila from Sor D'Riyah, and therefore the Chometz of Hektish is also Behana. So we've proven the point. Now, just the Gemara brings down the final interpretation of this brisa, what the explanation is, whether you're moil by Chometz of Hektish or not. Ravashi Amar the Kuliyama ain't Paidim. Everyone agrees that you cannot be Paida the Hektish to feed it to dogs. And even though it will lead to mammon, it's not considered like mammon. So there has to be a benefit right now. What kind of benefit can you have? But here the machlokes is, do you hold like Rav Yosei Galil or Rabbanan? The one that says that your moil holds like Rav Yosei Galil holds that it's muter b'hana even on Pesach. So even on Pesach it's muter b'hana, so there's more. The one that says you're not moil holds like the Rabbanan, that it's also b'hana, and therefore there's no milah because it has no benefit. But the one that says that moal is Rav Yosei, that it's muter b'hana. The one that says loy moal is Rabbanan, it's also b'hana, there's no benefit. Rav Yosei says it's muter b'hana, and therefore a yid could be pointed, and you could sell it to a yid, and therefore it has milah because it has benefit. You can sell it to a yid. Frektai says, what do you mean you can sell it to a yid? But even if Rav Yosei holds it's muter b'hana, but you're over bal yira bal matzah, so we sell to a yid is going to buy it, and he'll be over bal yira bal matzah. No one would buy it. He explains that if the purpose of buying it, if the purpose is to burn it, to destroy it, a yid could buy it and burn it and use it as fuel and get hana from the fuel, and he won't be over bal yira bal matzah because he's taking it for the purpose of destroying it. So he's not going to be under bal yira bal matzah, and then he could get benefit from the value of it as fuel. So it does have value, and therefore there would be me'ilah. Now the Gemara moves on to a different topic than as where there is bittul or not. There's a mixture of chometz, something has chometz and non-chometz. Is there bittul or not? Amarav chometz bismanai chometz on Pesach bein b'minai bein shaloi b'mina aser. Whether it got mixed in with something of its own kind or something with shaloi b'minai, that it got mixed in with something not something different. So you have the chometz, which is this, whether it got mixed in with other types of, let's say you're talking about the chometz that got mixed in with matzah. It was a chometz stick in matzah that got mixed in with matzah, which is not chometz. Whether shaloi b'minoi or whether it's a different kind of food of heter aser, it's aser. It doesn't become bottle. Now, normally we say that something which is aser macholos asuris, that iser is bottle, becomes bottle in the heter, and therefore, normally we say that it's bottle. When we have something which gives off taste, it's nice and tam. So the tam itself, even if the physical substance itself is no longer here, whether it's been removed or whether it's been dissolved, but if there is a taste, the taste itself also asers. Tam ki iker. It also asers. Normally, generally speaking, it's in a ratio of 60 to 1. So to be mevatel the iser, you need 60 times the amount of heter. That's generally speaking. There's different types of food, something which imparts more taste, stronger taste, but that's the general rule. Now there's a machlokes. Do we say that by dafka min be'enoi minoi, if there are different kinds of food, or even min b'minoi, or if it even applies to min b'mina, the same types of food? Now, do we say by min b'minoi also that it's bottle? Now, there's no taste. If you have the same type of food, then it's all the same taste, so the taste can't become bottle. But what it means is, if you have the same types of food, if they would be different types of food, if the amount of the taste given off would be bottle, would be nullified, do we apply the same principles of bittul or not? Rav Yehuda says min b'minai. He says min b'minai, it's not bottle. Fil bel if loy bottle. Even a mashu, even a little bit of it remains also. It does not become bottle. So now we have the discussion over here between chometz on Pesach and chometz after Pesach. Do we say bittul or do we not say bittul? So Rav said that chometz bisman, if it's talking on Pesach. Now chometz on Pesach is more chomer. There's an isser of chorus. There's not only an isser, but there's also an isser of chorus. So chometz bismanai bein b'minai bein shalei b'minai also. Whether it got mixed up whether it mixed together with its own kind, where the isser and the heter got mixed together, whether it's its own kind, whether it's a different kind, it's also regardless. Shaloi b'zmanoi, but if it's after Pesach, b'minai also. If it got mixed up with its own min, with its own kind, the isser and the heter with its own kind, then it's also. Shaloi b'minai muter. But if it's in a different kind, it's in a different min, then it's muter. So now the Gemara will explain. What's pshat with this? B'mai eskina. What are we talking about? If we're talking about that there is enough isser, that there's a large enough amount of the isser to impart a taste, if you say that we're talking about a case where there's enough chometz to give off the flavor, so shalei b'zman, shalei b'mina muter. How could you say that shalei b'zman after Pesach? If it got mixed up with shalei b'mina, how could it possibly be muter? It's giving off a taste. There's a tam kicker, it's also. So that can't be the case. Ella b'mashu. We must be talking where it's only a mashu. And therefore, after Pesach, if it's a min b'shein or minoi, the taste is bottle. You can't discern the taste. The taste is not discernible, therefore it becomes bottle. And therefore it's muter. So now what's the pshat? So chometz bismanoi bein b'mina bein shalei b'mina aser. So why is chometz on Pesach? If it got mixed up the isser with the heter, whether it's the same kind or a different kind, we say that it's also. Why is that? Rav goes according to his own reasoning. The Rav Shmuel, the Ami Tarvayu, Kol Yisurim Shabbatayra, in cases where you have Yisurim Shabbatayra, Bim Minai B'mashu, if it gets mixed up in its own min with its own kind, it's even a B'mashu. Even a tiny little bit, it does not become bottle. Fil bel loy bottle. Shaloi b'minai, if it's a different min, b'nais and tam. It's only also if it can impart taste. If it can't impart taste, then it's muter. Now, therefore, Rav goes on chometz bismanai, shaloi b'minai. So Rav is geyser. It's like zera. Chometz on Pesach, which is chomer on Pesach, is geyser. A mixture shaloi b'minai, if it got mixed with a different kind, he's geyser onto minai. Since min b'minoi is not bottle according to Rav, so he says, therefore, on Pesach itself, even min shebe'enoi mina, we're geyser. Ushalei b'zman, but if it's after Pesach, b'minoi also, he doesn't make the gzeira. So b'minoi, if it got mixed up with its own kind, b'minoi also, Rabbi Yehuda, that holds min b'minoi, loy bottle, afil belaf loy bottle, but ushalei b'minoi muter. But if it's shalei b'minoi, it's muter. And after Pesach, where it's not so chomer, there's no chores, there's an isser, but that it's no chores, shalei b'minoi muter. The shalei b'zmana or shalei b'minoi to be geyser after Pesach, and shalei b'minoi aton minoi kulei hay loy geyser. We're not geyser to that extent. We're not a geyser to the extent on Chometz after Pesach. So that's the Shita of Rav. Shmuel says Chometz Bizmana, Chometz on Pesach, B'minoi, if it's a mixture with a min, with its own kind, also. Shalai B'minoi, if it's a different min, it's muter. Shalai Bizmana, but if it's after Pesach, Ben B'minoi, Ben Shalai B'minoi, muter. It's muter regardless. The Gemara explains. Chometz Bizmana B'minoi also, if it's on Pesach, B'minoi it's also. Shmuel Tamei, the Rav Shmuel Damet Harvayu, Kol Yisur Shabbatayra, B'mina Osur B'mashu, Shalai B'mina B'nais Tam. Therefore, he holds that Chometz on Pesach, he also agrees with Rav. That mean B'mina is also, it's also B'mashu. But if it's Eino Minai, then it's Mutter. Shalai B'mina, not B'mina, Loi Gazer. That he's not geyser, shalai b'mina, not b'mina. Rav is geyser, and therefore he says even bin me'ena mina is also. But Shmuel does not make this clear. Shalai b'zmanoi, but if it's after Pesach, bein b'mina, bein shalai b'mina, mutarim. It's mutar regardless, whether it's min b'mina or min be'ena mina. Ki Rabbi Shimon, because he holds like Rabbi Shimon that chometz shavar lePesach min ha'tayra is mutar. It's mutar min ha'tayra. Therefore, as Rashi explains, when we say that it's muter, bein b'mina, bein shalai b'mina, means even if there's tam, it doesn't even have to be bottle, because unlike Rav, who holds like Rav Yehuda, that chometz shavar lePesach is also min ha'tayra, Shmuel holds like Rav Shimon, that chometz shavar lePesach is muter min ha'tayra. It's only also midrabanan. Therefore, what it means it's muter, it means in this case it's muter even if there's tam, because there's no isser. And Rashi points out that the more will ask, but it's also midrabanan, so why don't we say if there's tam, it should at least be also midrabanan? So the Gemara will ask that later. The third sheet is Rabbi Yochanan Amar. He holds chometz bizmanoi, if it's on Pesach, b'mina, bein shalai b'minoi, it's also b'noisen tam. It's also b'noisen tam. If there be enough to give flavor. It's also only if it would be enough to give flavor. Shaloi b'zmanoi after Pesach, bein b'mina, bein shaloi b'mina, and it's muter. The more explains. Chometz b'zmana, bein b'mina, bein shaloi b'mina, b'noisen tam, only if there would be enough to impart flavor. Rav Yochanan l'tamei, he holds not like Rav and Shmuel. He holds l'tamei the Rav Yochanan Reish Lakish, Damer Tarvayu, Kol Yisur Shabbatayra, bein b'mina, bein shaloi b'minan, b'noisen tam. He holds not like Rav and Shmuel. He holds even min b'minai is only b'noisen tam. Only if there would be enough of it that if it could give taste, if the taste was mixed in something where it would be discernible, that it could give taste. So it's only if there's enough, if it's enough of it that it could impart a flavor. So therefore, even b'min b'mina on Pesach, it's only b'noisen tam, shalai b'zmanoi, but if it's after Pesach, bein b'mina, bein shalai b'minoi, mutorim. It's mutar ki Rav Shimon, like Shmuel, they hold like Rav Shimon, so there's no isser no, and therefore it's mutar.